Brian, the sixth point in your 7 observations is to merge, sell or buy. You obviously feel there's an opportunity out there, and this is probably the prime time for certain agencies to be looking to either merge with others or sell or buy. Could you just kind of outline that?
Yeah. It's obviously as the market stands at the moment, that there's opportunities. I mean, it's ironic, isn't it, that 12, 18 months ago there was quite a lot of activity with people like the Mission Group. We were buying agencies like Big and Bray Leno, and there was real renaissance in marketing groups, you know, coming to the fore and buying companies. So there were a lot of agencies and agency bosses and shareholders thinking about maybe cashing in and spending their time in Marbella or Dubai or wherever is fashionable nowadays. But how swiftly the situations have turned. You know, now I don't think there's any opportunities for people to sell out major companies. So we'll park that one. But I'm more interested in the small medium agencies, and I think, you know, to me, if you've put years of your life into building a sound company, and for reasons outside your control, of bad debt or simply being in the wrong place at the wrong time, it's such a tragedy to see that investment in time and effort and money go to waste. And for instance, I have a client of mine who's got over, you know, say £250,000, and he's looking around to take a stake in an agency because he recognises that there's some good companies out there who might simply be running out of cash, who might have been hit by bad debt, but they're fundamentally sound companies. So if you're in that situation, there are people you can turn to. Don't let the business go because you're simply running out of cash. There are angels out there. The other thing is, to me, there's a lot of protection in critical mass. You know, critical mass has a lot of advantages in cost economies, etc., etc. But more importantly, it gives you a bit of a buffer. Now, I don't see any mergers taking place at the moment. You know, there's got to be agencies around there where the sum of the parts is better than staying soulless. I think this is an ideal opportunity for agency bosses to look around and to talk to other people and say, perhaps if the two of us could get together, you have skills in the public sector, I have skills in whatever it is, retailing, put the two of us together, we could save a few costs here and there, but more importantly, we'd have a bigger offering, we'd have a bit more critical mass, and who knows, you know, maybe there's some other people out there that we could join together, and maybe we could start, you know, looking to be the 5th, 6th, 7th biggest agency in town. But at the moment, I feel that we're going to lose a number of good agencies simply because they're not reacting quickly enough to what the marketplace is like. It's better to merge, isn't it, and, you know, and become part of something new than just to let your efforts just wither on the vine. So I know there's agencies hurting out there. I know that this time next year there will be agencies going bust. I know people are going to get through this year. But it's such a tragedy. So if you're in that situation where you think you'd be interested in taking some investment on board, come and talk to me, or go and talk to various other people, you know, because there is still money out there, and it's actually a good time to do it.
What's I mean, you obviously during your time at McCann's went through a number of mergers and acquisitions and so on. What's the key, and you could probably do an hour-long lecture on this, so just very quickly, what is the key, what are the key points on spotting a potential partner for your own agency or somebody that would fit well with your culture?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. It really is about chemistry. I mean, you don't merge companies, you merge people. And if the people get on and the people can have a shared vision, then the company's going to be successful. What doesn't work is if you opposites don't necessarily attract. You know, in all these mergers, I mean, I guess the chances of doing a successful acquisition are at best 50-50. You know, so there's going to be a lot of failures out there when acquisitions are concerned. But the key to it is getting people united behind a vision, making sure the culture is right, and making sure that people respect each other. I mean, I find that if you in our industry, if somebody is very good at a certain sector, let's say healthcare, or somebody's very good at planning, or somebody's very good at whatever it might be, digital, then really you respect the people for the skills they bring to the table. And if you can learn from each other in a merger, perhaps if you're a more traditional agency and you merge with a digital agency, if you can get the chemistry right, then you are in a far better place to look at the future. You know, so it's about merging, not companies, merging people and having a vision and a culture. You know, and mergers, I think, are different to acquisition. Acquisitions come with a set of preordained financial requirements, because if you're doing an acquisition, you're paying for past performance, but in reality you're buying future performance. So it's quite a merger. That past and future, they're not as critical. The financial things are important, but then you're not on an earn out. It's a different criteria. I'd love to see some mergers. I can think of some great agencies in Manchester, that if you put the two of them together, you've got from a 30-man agency to a 60, 70-man agency. I just think, to me, that's the future.
Just to wrap this section up, Brian, if you are an agency out there at the moment who is kind of finding it tough, what's the what advice would you give them, and what's the best way to kind of put yourself out there on the market for a merger?
Well, there are people you can talk to. There are companies that specialise in results, probably deals in London, deals with probably more acquisitions and mergers and things than any other company. But you could go and talk to your financial advisor. You can just, dare one say it, you can put the word out. But I mean, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because there's pride at stake here. But the last person you should be thinking of calling is the liquidator. And often it's the only call that people in this situation make. And the company just disappears. It's so sad. But I mean, seriously, if you want some advice, give me a bell, and I'm quite happy to talk to you. But please, don't leave it too late.